The stars above Zerath Prime shimmered like a field of diamonds. The planet's cities gleamed under twin suns, towers stretching toward the sky with sharp, elegant lines. On this world, the Erythians, an alien species known for their intelligence and strength, had built a society that seemed untouchable. They had conquered entire star systems and laughed at those who dared challenge them. Among the Erythians, pride was as common as the air they breathed, and arrogance came naturally. Captain Leora Vane stood on the balcony of her command tower, watching the bustling military grounds below. Her tall, slender form exuded confidence. Golden eyes scanned the field where elite alien soldiers trained in precision drills, their movements sharp and flawless. Leora was proud of her species' superiority, and she had never seen any being worthy of genuine fear. "Humans," she said softly, almost with amusement. "They think they can compete with us. Ridiculous." Her second-in-command, a sturdy alien named Thalen, tilted his head. "Captain, the human contingent has been officially assigned to the Interstellar Coalition contest." Leora's lips curled into a smile, more like a sneer. "Humans? Mere children with fragile bodies and limited understanding. How amusing. Let them try. I will enjoy watching them fail." Far across the galaxy, aboard the human starship Horizon, Lieutenant Kale Draven prepared with his squad. Humans had often been underestimated by the advanced alien species they encountered, but Kale had learned not to fear it. Experience had taught him that humans had one advantage no alien could ever predict: adaptability. Kale's squad consisted of 5 humans, all highly trained soldiers, though they lacked the flashy technology and overwhelming strength of the aliens. Still, Kale was confident. He had faced tough challenges before, and he knew that clever strategy could turn even the weakest advantage into a winning move. "Listen up," Kyle said, his voice calm but firm. "We don't have the alien strength, but we have brains, teamwork, and guts. Don't underestimate what we can do together." The human soldiers nodded, eyes bright with determination. They had been laughed at and dismissed countless times, but that only fueled their resolve. Kale's leadership was steady, inspiring confidence even in the toughest moments. The humans landed on Zerath Prime amid the gleaming alien city. The streets were full of Erythians walking with purpose, their forms elegant and powerful. Citizens and soldiers alike stared at the humans with curiosity and disdain. Rumors of human resilience and bravery had spread across the coalition, but Leora's pride cast doubt on any possibility of human success. The first announcement came: a contest designed to test skill, intelligence, and courage. Each species would compete in a series of challenges to determine superiority. The first trial would be a combat and strategy simulation on the hazardous plains outside the city. Terrain was treacherous, filled with cliffs, sudden sinkholes, and strange alien flora that could trap or poison the unwary. Kyle studied the map projected before his squad. "We're up against the elite Erythian units. They're fast, strong, and precise. But look at the terrain. There are high grounds, hidden paths, and areas they won't expect us to use. If we play smart, we can win." Leora, from her observation tower, watched the humans with thinly veiled amusement. "How predictable," she murmured. "They think strategy will save them. In the end, strength always wins." The first trial began at sunrise. Alien soldiers moved like a single machine, coordinated and flawless. They descended on the training ground with deadly precision, confident in their superiority. Kale's squad moved cautiously, studying every step, every shadow, and every possible danger. It didn't take long for the humans to encounter trouble. A hidden pit nearly swallowed 2 of Kale's squad members, and alien projectiles whistled dangerously close. But Kale remained calm, signaling with hand gestures and subtle movements. His squad responded instantly, adjusting their positions, avoiding traps, and using small boulders for cover. "Keep moving," Kale whispered. "Observe and adapt. Watch them make mistakes. They will have weaknesses, and we will find them." The alien soldiers were confident, almost arrogant in their attack. They underestimated the humans' ability to improvise. One human soldier, Mara, noticed a series of natural ledges that created a hidden path. Using this path, the humans avoided a deadly trap and gained a position that gave them an unexpected advantage. From above, Leora's eyes narrowed. She hadn't anticipated humans using terrain so creatively. "Interesting," she murmured. "They have a mind for tactics." Kale's team advanced carefully, keeping low and silent. They used every advantage the landscape offered. A sudden flash of human ingenuity, triggering a small boulder to roll down and block alien reinforcements, gave them a momentary edge. The aliens faltered slightly, surprised by the unexpected tactic. Even with small victories, Kale knew the challenge was far from over. The aliens had superior weapons and strength, but humans had courage, patience, and creativity. "Remember," Kale said to his squad, "this isn't about matching them blow for blow. It's about staying one step ahead. Adapt, observe, and strike where they least expect it." As the trial progressed, small sparks of respect began to form among some observing aliens. Though they didn't admit it openly, a few noticed the humans' clever maneuvers. The concept of human adaptability was slowly breaking through their preconceived notions. Leora remained confident but slightly uneasy. Her pride was challenged by a species she had dismissed so easily. She had never faced opponents who relied so heavily on intuition and unpredictability. One trial does not prove anything, she told herself. They will fail soon enough. Strength always prevails. By the end of the day, Kale's team had survived the first trial, not unscathed but unbroken. They had learned the terrain, adapted to traps, and avoided fatal mistakes. Leora's face, usually serene and unshakable, showed a flicker of doubt, though she masked it quickly with a smirk. When the human team returned to their temporary quarters, Kale spoke quietly to his squad. "We did well today, but don't let it fool you. The aliens will expect us to repeat the same moves. Tomorrow we need to be smarter, faster, and even more unpredictable." Mara nodded. "They won't see it coming. I can feel it. They're surprised we're still standing." Kale smiled faintly. "Good, let them underestimate us. That's when humans shine." Across the observation towers, Leora made her decision. She would confront the humans herself in the next trial, curious to see just how far their cleverness could go. A sense of excitement mixed with her pride. For the first time, she felt challenged in a way that intrigued her, though she would never admit it aloud. As night fell over Zerath Prime, the stars glimmered brighter than ever. Kale looked up at the heavens, thinking about the journey ahead. He didn't know how this contest would end, but he knew one thing for certain: humans were not to be dismissed. Strength, courage, and adaptability, these were qualities the Erythians could never fully understand. And in the quiet of the alien city, a human soldier's resolve shone brighter than any star. The morning sun rose slowly over the plains outside Zerath Prime, casting long shadows across jagged rocks and strange alien flora. The air was dry and crisp, filled with the faint hum of alien technology embedded in the ground. For the Erythians, this was familiar territory, a controlled environment where their strength, speed, and precision gave them a clear advantage. For humans, every step was a challenge, a test of wits and courage. Lieutenant Kale Draven stood at the edge of a rocky cliff, overlooking the simulation arena. Beside him, his team of human soldiers prepared quietly, adjusting their gear and scanning the terrain. They had survived the first trial, but Kale knew this next one would be different. The stakes were higher, the challenge more dangerous, and the Erythians would now watch them with scrutiny. "Remember," Kyle whispered to his squad, "don't try to outfight them. Outthink them. Use what they won't expect." His squad members nodded, determination etched on their faces. They were tired, yes, but not broken. In fact, every challenge they faced seemed to strengthen their resolve. From a distant observation tower, Captain Leora Vane watched the humans with a mixture of curiosity and amusement. She had heard the reports of their survival in the first trial, but she refused to acknowledge their success as anything more than luck. "They can survive a test of terrain," she murmured. "But survival is not victory. That is what I will show them today." The second trial began with a loud signal, a bright flash of light followed by a pulse that activated the arena. The terrain shifted subtly, a test designed to challenge both agility and intellect. Small walls rose and fell, pathways changed, and alien traps emerged from hidden corners. The Erythians, accustomed to perfect knowledge of their environment, moved with ease. Humans, by contrast, had to constantly adapt, to think quickly, and to trust their instincts. Kale led his team carefully. They moved in silence, keeping low and using natural cover. One misstep could be fatal, but Kale had confidence in their training. "Mara," he said softly, "check that ledge. It might give us a shortcut." Mara climbed lightly over the rocks and returned with a smile, safe and clear. We can use it to flank them. Kale nodded. Flanking was risky but necessary. They could not face the alien soldiers head-on. The humans moved quickly, taking advantage of every natural obstacle and every slight imperfection in the alien defenses. Meanwhile, Leora noticed something unusual. The humans were not panicking. They were adapting. Every trap they encountered, every obstacle they faced, seemed to strengthen their resolve rather than weaken it. They are clever, she admitted silently. More clever than I expected. The first direct encounter occurred near a narrow canyon. An elite squad of Erythians appeared, their movements coordinated and precise. Their weapons glowed with energy and their presence was imposing. Most species would have frozen in fear, but humans did not. Kale gave a subtle signal, and his squad split into two groups, creating confusion among the aliens. One group drew fire, while the other moved silently along a hidden path. The human plan was risky, but it worked. The alien squad, caught off guard, faltered for a moment, just enough for the humans to gain an advantage. Kale's team had learned something vital. Alien precision could be disrupted by unpredictability, creativity, and teamwork. Kale paused for a moment, taking in the scene. He noticed a series of alien devices embedded in the canyon walls, likely traps. He whispered to his team, "We can use these against them, but we must be careful. Timing is everything." Using rocks, branches, and even the alien devices themselves, the humans created small distractions, forcing the Erythians to split their attention. This gave Kale the chance to lead his team into a higher position overlooking the battlefield. From this vantage point, they could see the movements of the elite squad and plan their next action. From her tower, Leora narrowed her eyes. She had underestimated the humans' ingenuity. It is not brute strength alone, she thought. They think differently. They adapt. That is dangerous. The humans advanced carefully, but one misstep almost cost them dearly. A hidden trap triggered, sending a blast of energy across the ground. Kale reacted instantly, pushing a squad member out of harm's way. The humans regrouped, shaken but unharmed. Kyle took a deep breath. Good, we survived. Now let's use what we learned. The humans' next move was bold. They created a feint, pretending to advance directly toward the Erythians while secretly moving along a hidden ridge. The alien soldiers reacted predictably, preparing to intercept them. But when the humans emerged from the hidden path, they attacked from an unexpected direction, disorienting the aliens completely. The battle raged across the canyon, with humans and aliens exchanging strategic strikes rather than brute force. Humans used their small size and agility to their advantage, dodging attacks and exploiting weaknesses in the alien formations. They moved as one unit, communicating silently with hand signals and brief gestures. At one point, Kyle noticed a faint glow beneath a pile of rocks, an ancient device partially buried. He had heard rumors of such relics, remnants of civilizations long gone. Carefully he activated it, and the device emitted a soft pulse that disrupted nearby alien weapons. For a moment, the humans had an edge they had never imagined possible. Leora's expression changed. She had seen the humans use strategy, terrain, and technology in ways she had never expected. This is extraordinary, she admitted silently. They are not weak, they are resourceful. Despite the humans' clever tactics, the Erythians were relentless. They regrouped and counterattacked with precision. Kale realized that survival alone would not be enough. They needed a decisive move. Look at the ledge, Kale whispered. If we can get above them, we can control the battlefield. Using careful timing and perfect coordination, the humans scaled the ledge, avoiding alien attacks and traps. From above, they had a clear view of the battlefield. Kale gave the signal, and his team triggered a series of small collapses and diversions that disrupted the alien formation completely. The Erythians were forced to retreat, and the humans moved swiftly to claim control of the key point in the arena. They had won, not by strength but by intelligence, courage, and adaptability. For the first time, some aliens watching the trial began to whisper among themselves. The humans, they survived, and they adapted. I didn't think they could do it. Even Thalen, Leora's second-in-command, looked uneasy. Leora herself remained composed, though inside, her pride was shaken. She had expected an easy victory. Yet the humans had challenged her assumptions at every step. Impressive, she said quietly. But one trial does not make them equals. One trial does not make them a threat. Kyle gathered his squad after the trial. His team was tired, bruised, and exhausted, but their spirits were high. "Well done," he said, smiling faintly. "We adapted, we survived, and we learned. That's what counts. Tomorrow will be harder, but we now know one important thing. They can be challenged." Mara, wiping sweat from her brow, nodded. "And we're just getting started. I can feel it. They won't know what hit them next time." Kale looked up at the alien towers in the distance where Leora observed them. For the first time, he sensed that their enemy was not just powerful. It was cautious, intrigued, and perhaps even slightly unsettled by human ingenuity. That knowledge gave him hope. As the humans rested that night, Kyle reflected on the lessons of the day. Humans were often underestimated, but they had one advantage no alien could replicate: creativity. They could think outside the rules, adapt to challenges, and survive in ways that even the strongest alien soldiers could not predict. Above them, Zirath Prime's twin moons rose, casting a soft glow over the rugged plains. The alien city sparkled in the distance, but tonight, the humans had shown that cleverness and courage could shine just as brightly. Kyle knew that the next trial would test them even further. Leora, now personally interested in the humans, would likely challenge them directly. And though the humans had won today, the path ahead was uncertain. But Kale also knew this: humans never gave up. They adapted, they persevered, and they found strength in unity. And somewhere, in the quiet of her observation tower, Captain Leora Vane began to question the limits of her pride. The humans were not just surviving, they were forcing her to see them in a new light. Tomorrow, the real test would begin. The sun rose over Zirath Prime once more, painting the alien city and surrounding plains in a golden light. Today, the trial was different. No longer would the humans face the arena as a group. Today, Lieutenant Kale Draven would confront Captain Leora Vane personally. The challenge was clear: a duel of skill, intelligence, and strategy. Kyle stood at the edge of the training field, watching the alien commander approach. Leora's tall figure moved with perfect precision, every step confident, every motion deliberate. She radiated authority and strength, her golden eyes fixed on him with a mix of curiosity and prideful defiance. "You are the human who survived the first trials," Leora said, her voice calm but carrying an edge of challenge. "I expected your species to fall quickly, yet here you are." Kale bowed his head slightly, a gesture of respect. "And you are the commander everyone fears. I hope I can learn something from this challenge." Leora's lips curled into a faint, amused smile. "Learning will not save you. Today you will see the difference between strength and cleverness." The duel began. The field was a wide plateau, broken by jagged rocks and crumbling walls. Energy barriers flared in random patterns, creating hazards for the unwary. The Erythians relied on precision and power, but Kale knew that adaptability and timing were his greatest allies. At first, Leora moved with overwhelming speed, striking with precise energy bursts. Kale dodged and rolled, barely avoiding each attack. He realized quickly that fighting her head-on was impossible. Strength alone would not win this duel. Instead, Kale observed, every motion Leora made followed a rhythm, subtle yet predictable once he noticed the pattern. He began to anticipate her strikes, adjusting his position, conserving energy, and looking for openings. "Impressive," Leora murmured, noticing his evasive skill. "You learn fast. But learning will only delay the inevitable." Kale smiled faintly. "It's not about delaying. It's about seeing the right moment." The duel intensified. Leora unleashed a series of attacks, faster and more precise than anything Kale had faced before. Yet every time he adapted, weaving around her energy blasts and using the environment to his advantage. He ducked behind crumbling walls, leapt across rocks, and even used Leora's own energy against her, reflecting it off surfaces to create temporary barriers. For the first time, Leora felt something unfamiliar: surprise. Her opponent was not only surviving, but he was learning, adapting, and forcing her to rethink each move. "Humans," she whispered, her voice tinged with awe. "So clever, so unpredictable." Kale's eyes caught a flicker in the rocks nearby, a faint broken glow. The BrokenStarlight relic, a device left from an ancient civilization, pulsed softly. He recognized it immediately from old Coalition records. Carefully he approached it, keeping Leora distracted with precise feints and quick movements. Activating the relic, Kale felt a subtle surge of energy. The relic emitted pulses that disrupted Leora's weapon system slightly, not enough to harm her, but enough to create small openings. The human soldier had turned the environment itself into an ally, a concept few aliens could grasp. Leora's golden eyes narrowed. "So you use the world around you?" Clever human, but not enough. Kale moved with confidence, exploiting every minor hesitation. The duel became a dance of intelligence and agility, not brute force. He learned to anticipate her attacks and, more importantly, to control the flow of the battle. The battlefield itself shifted subtly, forcing Leora to adjust constantly. Every movement Kale made was calculated, drawing her toward areas where he had advantage. A sudden blast of energy from the relic sent a small wall of debris toward her, momentarily blocking her attack. Kale seized the moment, striking from an unexpected angle, not with raw power but with precision, timing, and adaptability. Leora stumbled back, a flicker of surprise crossing her usually composed face. She had never encountered an opponent who turned strategy, observation, and environment into weapons as effectively as this human. "Impossible," she whispered, barely containing a smile. "You unadapt. You think differently than we do." Kyle took a deep breath, focusing on the next move. "It's not impossible," he said calmly. "It's human." The duel continued for hours, neither side giving an inch. Leora's strength and skill were unmatched, but Kale's ingenuity allowed him to survive, evade, and counter in ways the Erythian commander could not fully predict. The broken starlight relic remained a subtle advantage, though Kale treated it with respect, careful not to rely on it entirely. As the sun began to lower, casting long shadows across the plateau, both combatants paused, breathing heavily. Kale's uniform was scorched and torn in places, but his eyes were steady. Leora's movements had slowed slightly, her golden eyes reflecting something new, curiosity and respect. "You are remarkable," she admitted, her voice almost quiet. "I underestimated your species. I thought humans were fragile, predictable. I see now, you are neither." Kyle lowered his stance, not aggressive but ready. "We survive, adapt, and grow stronger. That is human nature. Strength is not only in power but in thinking, in courage, and in perseverance." A tense silence followed. For the first time, Leora's pride wavered. She had faced countless opponents, yet none had forced her to think so carefully. None had used creativity and timing to challenge her in this way. Humans were not supposed to last this long. They were supposed to fail. And yet here he stood, alive, focused, and undeterred. Slowly, Leora nodded, a gesture of acknowledgement. "You have earned my respect, human. But this duel is not over." Kyle knew she meant that the challenge would continue in different forms, tests of intelligence, strategy, and leadership. The duel had become more than a fight. It was a lesson, a turning point for both. Leora began to understand that humans were not simply weaker beings. They were unpredictable, adaptable, and capable of surprising even the most confident alien commander. The duel escalated once more as Leora pressed forward, her strikes faster, more precise, and more dangerous. Kale relied on every lesson learned from the previous trials, every observation of her patterns, and every ounce of creativity. He dodged, parried, and countered, all while using the terrain and the relic to his advantage. Finally, in a moment of perfect timing, Kale feinted a move toward the left, drawing Leora's attention, then used the broken starlight device to create a temporary energy barrier. Using this, he maneuvered to a high ledge overlooking the battlefield. From this vantage point, he had control, not through raw strength, but through awareness, anticipation, and adaptability. Leora froze for a moment, realizing what he had done. The human had turned the battlefield into a tool, a weapon and a shield all at once. For the first time, Leora truly respected the ingenuity of a human. "You are unlike any opponent I have faced," she admitted, her golden eyes reflecting both challenge and admiration. "You change everything I thought I knew." Kale smiled faintly, catching his breath. "It's not about being the strongest. It's about thinking, adapting, and never giving up. That is humanity." As the duel ended for the day, both combatants stepped back, acknowledging each other silently. The first clash had revealed something extraordinary. Humans were more than survivors. They were innovators, thinkers, and fighters in their own right. Kale had survived against an opponent far stronger, not by matching power with power, but by using intelligence, courage, and adaptability. In the observation towers, Other alien soldiers whispered among themselves. Some shook their heads in disbelief. Others looked thoughtful. Perhaps we judged them too quickly, one said quietly. Leora, still standing tall, faced Kale one last time. I will watch you closely from now on. Your species has potential. A potential I had not imagined. Kyle nodded respectfully. Thank you. And I will continue to prove that humans can rise to any challenge. As night fell over Zerath Prime, the stars reflected in the broken starlight relic's faint glow. The human soldier had changed something fundamental. Not just the perception of his species, but the way an entire commander thought about strength, skill, and possibility. Tomorrow, new trials would begin, and the stakes would rise. But Kale now knew that humans had a unique power. The ability to adapt, to surprise, and to challenge even the greatest adversaries. And Leora, for all her pride, had begun to realize that underestimating humans was a mistake she would never repeat. For the first time in her long career, the Erythian commander faced an opponent who had forced her to see differently, think differently, and acknowledge something she had always dismissed. Humans were not merely survivors. They were worthy competitors. And somewhere in the quiet plains of Zerath Prime, a human soldier's determination shone brighter than any star, ready to face the next challenge. The next trial began with a thunderous signal that echoed across the plains of Zerath Prime. This time, the challenge was not just a duel, but a full-scale skirmish. Humans and aliens would face each other in teams, testing strategy, leadership, and the ability to adapt under pressure. For Kale Draven and his squad, the stakes were higher than ever. The arena was a sprawling valley filled with jagged cliffs, deep canyons, and hidden alien devices that could trigger traps or energy pulses. The Erythian soldiers moved confidently, their formations precise and disciplined. Kale's human squad advanced cautiously, scanning every rock, shadow, and potential threat. Stay sharp, Kale whispered to his team. We're not just surviving today. We're showing them what humans can do when they work together. The alien commander, Leora Vane, observed from a distant tower, her golden eyes sharp and calculating. The duel with Kale had changed her perception. She no longer saw humans as fragile or predictable. They were clever, resourceful, and capable of turning the environment to their advantage. Today she would test the full extent of their abilities. The skirmish began with a sudden energy pulse that activated the arena's traps. Alien units advanced with confidence, expecting humans to falter. But Kale had a plan. He signaled his team, splitting them into small groups to use the terrain strategically. Mara, scouting ahead, noticed a series of narrow ledges above the alien line. Kyle, we can flank them from here, she reported. Good, Kyle replied. Take the left path. The rest of us will create a diversion. Using rocks and debris, the humans triggered small collapses to distract the alien soldiers. The aliens reacted as expected, rushing to address the disturbance. Meanwhile, Mara's team moved silently along the hidden ledges, gaining a vantage point that gave them a tactical advantage. Kale's squad then activated the BrokenStarlight relic, carefully using its pulses to disrupt alien weapon systems without causing permanent damage. The energy waves created brief openings, giving the humans precious seconds to maneuver. Timing is everything, Kale reminded his team. Use every opportunity. The aliens were initially confused by the humans' unconventional tactics. Their formations broke apart, and some units were forced into positions where humans could control the battlefield. The humans moved with precision, not relying on brute force but on coordination, observation, and adaptability. Leora watched intently, her pride challenged yet tinged with admiration. They are unlike any species I have encountered, she admitted quietly. Humans, they think differently. They adapt, they survive, and they fight with their minds as well as their bodies. As the skirmish intensified, Kale noticed a critical opportunity. An alien unit had left a strategic energy node exposed, a device that controlled a section of the arena's traps. With careful coordination, Kale signaled Mara to take the lead. She moved swiftly, dodging attacks and using the environment to remain unseen. In a daring move, Mara disabled the energy node, turning the arena itself against the alien forces. Traps and energy pulses now worked in favor of the humans, creating confusion and forcing the aliens to retreat. Kale's team pressed forward, exploiting the advantage without overextending. The Erythians, though disciplined and skilled, struggled to respond to the humans' unpredictable tactics. Every move Kale's squad made seemed to anticipate and counter their actions. The humans' understanding of timing, terrain, and team coordination allowed them to gain the upper hand. Leora realized that her previous assumptions about humans were flawed. They are not weaker, she thought. They are resourceful. They turn every challenge into an advantage. This is not mere luck. It is intelligence, courage, and adaptability combined. Kale pressed the advantage further. Using small energy pulses from the relic, his squad created controlled distractions that forced alien units into unfavorable positions. By combining strategy, teamwork, and the environment itself, humans were turning the tide of the battle. One alien commander, previously skeptical of human ability, called out to Leora. "Captain, they are not just surviving, they are controlling the battlefield." Leora's golden eyes narrowed. She had to admit it. Humans were extraordinary in ways her species had never truly understood. Strength alone was not enough to dominate them. Kale's leadership, combined with his squad's ingenuity, had created a force that could challenge even the most skilled alien soldiers. The climax of the skirmish came when Kale identified the alien command center, a small fortified structure that coordinated the arena's traps. If they could gain control of it, the humans would secure victory. Kale signaled his squad, and they moved in perfect synchrony. Using shadows, terrain, and precise timing, they approached the center unnoticed. Mara disabled the external defenses, Kale neutralized an alien guard with a non-lethal energy pulse, and the rest of the squad secured the entrance. The human team now controlled the command center, giving them the power to manipulate the battlefield entirely. The Erythian soldiers hesitated, unsure how to respond. The humans had outthought them, outmaneuvered them, and adapted to every challenge presented. For the first time, Leora felt uncertainty, a feeling she was unaccustomed to. Kale addressed his team quietly. "Hold position. Maintain focus. We control this battlefield now. Every move counts." As the humans maintained control, the aliens attempted a counterattack. But Kale's team anticipated their moves, using the command center to direct energy barriers and traps strategically. The aliens were forced to retreat, their formations breaking apart under the humans' clever tactics. By the end of the skirmish, humans had emerged victorious. Not through brute force, but through intelligence, courage, and adaptability. Kale's squad had demonstrated the full potential of human ingenuity, and the Erythians could not deny it. Leora descended from her observation tower, her expression calm yet thoughtful. She approached Kale, who stood with his squad, exhausted but triumphant. "You have proven something extraordinary," Leora said. "Your species has capabilities I never imagined. Strength is not the only measure of power. Humans survive, adapt, and thrive. Today you have shown me that." Kale bowed his head respectfully. "Thank you, Captain. We survive because we work together, think creatively, and never give up. That is what makes us human." For the first time, Leora experienced a profound respect for an opponent. She realized that underestimating humans had been a mistake, and that their potential was far greater than she had imagined. The battlefield fell silent, and the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the plains. Humans and aliens alike reflected on the events of the day. Kale's team had achieved something remarkable. Not just victory, but recognition of the human spirit, cleverness, courage, and unity. Kale looked at his squad, pride swelling in his chest. "Today we showed them who we are," he said quietly. "Tomorrow the challenges will grow, but we are ready. We have proven our strength, not with power, but with intelligence and heart." Leora watched them from a distance, her golden eyes filled with new understanding. Humans were not merely survivors, they were innovators, fighters, and thinkers. They had challenged her assumptions and expanded her view of what was possible in the galaxy. As night fell over Zirath Prime, the broken starlight relic glimmered faintly in Kale's pack. It had been instrumental, but the true victory had come from human ingenuity, teamwork, and courage. The humans had changed the perception of their species, not only for Leora, but for the Erythians who witnessed the trials. The trial had revealed the truth. Humans could rise to challenges that seemed impossible, adapt in ways others could not, and inspire respect through determination and intelligence. Kale had proven that humans were not to be underestimated. and that even the most confident alien commanders would have to reconsider their assumptions. Kale sat with his squad under the twin moons of Zerath Prime. Tired but satisfied, Mara nudged him lightly. "We did it," she said, smiling. Kale nodded. "Yes, but this is only the beginning. The galaxy is full of challenges. And humans will rise to meet them." Somewhere in her observation tower, Leora reflected on what she had seen. Pride had been her guide for so long, yet it had almost blinded her. Now she understood that true power was not only strength but adaptability, courage, and ingenuity, the qualities humans possessed in abundance. The next trial loomed, but Kale and his team were ready. They had faced an entire alien force, used strategy and intelligence to overcome obstacles, and earned respect in the process. Humanity had taken a step forward in the galaxy, leaving a mark that would not soon be forgotten. The stars above Zerath Prime shone brighter than ever, reflecting the triumph of human ingenuity and courage. And in the quiet of the plains, Kale Draven knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, humans would continue to rise, undaunted, clever, and unstoppable. The dawn of the final day of trials on Zerath Prime brought a tension that could be felt across the plains. The Erythians, confident as ever, were ready to assert their dominance. Yet something had shifted in the past days. Humans had survived, adapted, and surprised their alien rivals at every turn. Today, it would all come to a head. Lieutenant Kale Draven stood at the edge of the arena with his squad. They had grown stronger through every challenge, their confidence tempered by experience. Each human soldier carried not just their gear, but the lessons of every trial, the dangers they had faced, the strategies they had devised, and the courage they had found in one another. Kale's gaze swept across the battlefield. The final trial was the most complex yet, a combination of combat, intelligence, and leadership. The arena itself was enormous, filled with dangerous terrain, alien technology, and unpredictable hazards. For the first time, humans and aliens would confront one another in teams that spanned the entire field. "Remember," Kale said quietly, addressing his squad, "this is more than a fight. This is a test of who we are. Every move counts. Use your brains, trust your instincts, and look out for one another. That is how humans win." The aliens, led by Captain Leora Vane, moved with precision, their formations flawless. Yet Leora's golden eyes were sharper than ever, observing the humans with newfound respect. The duel with Kale had taught her something she had never known. Humans were not predictable, and underestimating them was dangerous. The signal blared, and the arena sprang to life. Energy barriers flared, traps activated, and drones patrolled the field. Alien units advanced with confidence, expecting humans to falter. But Kale's team moved strategically, splitting into squads to cover more ground, using terrain and intelligence to create advantages. Mara led a small group along a hidden canyon path, silently eliminating traps and observing enemy positions. Kale and the main squad moved in the central plains, drawing alien attention while remaining careful not to overcommit. The humans had learned from every previous trial. Adaptability and observation were as important as strength. The aliens were formidable, but they had never faced opponents like this before. The humans' coordination was seamless. Every diversion, every feint, and every unexpected maneuver disrupted the alien formations. The BrokenStarlight relic remained with Kale, its faint energy pulses helping them manipulate certain alien devices without causing harm. "Kyle," Mara whispered, "the aliens are trying to flank us on the left. If we can use the high ground, we can turn this to our advantage." "Do it," Kyle replied calmly. "Timing and coordination are everything." Mara's team moved swiftly, taking the high ground and forcing the aliens into a narrow pass where human tactics could dominate. Kale's squad pressed forward in perfect synchrony, guiding enemy forces into areas where they had limited mobility. For the first time, many alien observers began to murmur in disbelief. Humans, though physically weaker, were controlling the battlefield with intelligence, teamwork, and adaptability. Erythian soldiers who had once dismissed humans as fragile began to see them in a new light. Leora's expression was unreadable, but inside she was thinking, "These humans, they are not just surviving, they are thriving. They are shaping the battlefield, they are remarkable." Kale identified the final objective of the trial, a central command node that controlled many of the arena's defenses. If humans could reach it, they could manipulate the battlefield entirely, securing victory. He signaled his squad and they moved in coordinated silence. The path to the command node was perilous, lined with traps and alien patrols. Cale relied on everything he had learned: timing, observation, and ingenuity. Each squad member played a role, distracting, disabling, and maneuvering through the field without losing cohesion. As they approached the command node, Cale noticed a group of elite alien soldiers guarding it. Their presence was intimidating, but Cale had a plan. Using a combination of feints in the terrain, the humans drew the aliens away from the node, isolating them in smaller groups. Mara and 2 others quickly disabled the remaining traps while Cale led the final approach. The BrokenStarlight relic emitted a pulse, temporarily interfering with alien defenses just long enough for the humans to reach the node. With precise coordination, Cale and his team secured the command node, giving them control of the arena's mechanisms. The humans now held the upper hand. The aliens tried to regroup, but the humans anticipated every move, using the terrain and command node to maintain their advantage. The Erythians realized that brute force alone would not overcome the humans. Leora, standing in her observation tower, finally understood the truth. Humans were clever, resilient, and adaptable. Strength alone could not dominate them. Cale addressed his squad quietly, though loud enough for nearby allies to hear. We've worked together, adapted to every challenge, and used our minds as much as our bodies. This is what makes us strong. This is what makes us human. The alien forces hesitated, unsure how to respond. Kyle's team had turned the battlefield to their advantage, demonstrating that intelligence, courage, and teamwork could overcome even superior strength and technology. For the first time, Leora descended from her tower and walked onto the field. Her golden eyes met Cale's, and for a moment, the two simply stared at each other. Respect flowed silently between them. "You have proven something extraordinary," Leora said, her voice calm yet filled with admiration. "Humans, you are clever, adaptable, and courageous. I misjudged you. Today you have earned not just victory but respect." Cale nodded humbly. "Thank you, Captain. We don't claim to be the strongest, but we rely on our minds, our courage, and our unity. That is humanity." The aliens, seeing their commander acknowledge the humans' abilities, began to lower their defenses. Some even approached Cale's team cautiously, a silent acknowledgement that humans had earned their place in the galaxy's arena. The humans had not only won the final trial, they had reshaped the perception of their species. Across Zirath Prime, whispers spread among Erythian soldiers. Humans were not weak, they were not predictable, and they were not to be dismissed. Their ingenuity and bravery were undeniable. Cale's squad gathered together, exhausted but triumphant. Mara grinned, brushing dust from her uniform. "We did it. They saw what we're capable of." Cale looked at his team with pride. "Yes, today we showed them that humans can rise to any challenge. But remember, this is just the beginning. Humanity's journey in the galaxy has only just begun." Leora stepped closer, observing the humans more closely. "I underestimated you," she admitted. "But I have learned something valuable. Strength is important, but courage, intelligence, and adaptability, these are equally vital. Humans possess all of these qualities." Cale smiled faintly. "We learn from every challenge and we grow stronger together. That is the human way." As the twin suns set over Zirath Prime, casting long shadows across the arena, the humans and aliens alike reflected on what had transpired. Humans had not only survived every trial, they had adapted, outthought, and inspired respect. The galaxy had been reminded that humanity, though often underestimated, was capable of extraordinary feats. The BrokenStarlight relic glimmered faintly, a symbol of ingenuity and adaptability. It had been a tool, but the true victory had come from human creativity, courage, and teamwork. Humans had proven that they could challenge even the most powerful alien species, not with raw strength, but with intelligence and unity. Leora, for the first time, felt a sense of humility and admiration for humans. She had witnessed firsthand what they were capable of, and she knew that they were no longer a species to dismiss. Humans had changed her perspective, and perhaps in subtle ways they had changed the galaxy itself. Cale stood atop a small rise looking at the horizon. The trials had ended, but the journey of humanity had only begun. The challenges ahead would be greater, the dangers more formidable, Yet he knew one thing for certain. Humans would face them with courage, creativity, and unwavering determination. Mara and the rest of the squad joined him. "Do you think they'll ever see us the same way again?" she asked. "They already do," Kale replied. "And if they haven't, they will. Humans never stop adapting, never stop learning, and never stop rising to the occasion. Today, we've shown them what that means." The twin moons rose over Zirath Prime, reflecting off the broken starlight relic in the faces of the human squad. They had won, not just battles, but recognition. They had earned respect in the galaxy, and in doing so, had proven the enduring spirit of humanity, clever, courageous, and unstoppable. The stars above seemed to shine a little brighter that night, as if acknowledging the triumph of human ingenuity and spirit. Kale Draven and his squad, tired but proud, knew that this was only the beginning of humanity's journey among the stars. In that moment, one truth was clear. Humans were no longer to be laughed at or underestimated. They had earned their place in the galaxy, and they would continue to rise, undaunted, resilient, and brilliant. The universe had changed, and humanity had shown its strength.